Welcome to PBnJam. We're back for our third episode. My name is Emily Soleil. PBnJam stands for Playbacks and Jams, and we're just here, home cooking in the kitchen. Thanks, Jolt Radio, for having us. I'm looking forward to the topic today. Hope you all have been well. Today we're going to talk about a couple things. So I actually switched topics. I think I'm going to save the next one till next time. But today I'm going to kind of give a short version of a talk that I've done before. It's called You're a Book, You're a Brand, Storytelling and Personal Branding. So I want to talk a little bit about storytelling, personal branding, and in between, I'll take some breaks to play some music that I feel has really great storytelling. Maybe some R&B tracks, maybe some soul tracks, maybe definitely some hip hop tracks. It's kind of going to be all over the place. So let's see what we get today. But I want to start with a little anecdote about where this whole idea for this talk came from. I had a roommate in college. I went to University of Central Florida for 2 years, and then I went to Florida Atlantic University for a couple years. And her name was Shelby, and Shelby was my roommate at University of Central Florida when I was there. And Shelby, we were young. We were, I don't know, I think 17 at that time, 17, 18. And she had the coolest stories and the coolest life to talk about. She, like I said, she was young and she had traveled all over the world and she had done a bunch of mission trips and she had helped so many people. And her plan was to do Teach for America so she could continue helping people and teaching the English language, while traveling. And I just thought she was super cool. She had all these travel stories, and I really haven't traveled yet at all. I'm a big traveler now. But I would say, like, Shelby, I want to be as cool as you are. Um, I wanted a story like hers. I wanted to be able to have a really cool story. And what I didn't realize is that she kind of had this personal brand that she was starting to create already by just being who she was. She was just authentic to herself. She was in flow. She was true to herself. And I really loved that about her. Um, and I was inspired at that point. I wanted to have a story like that and have a really cool personal brand. So that's where this whole idea of this talk came from. So thank you, Shelby, if you're out there listening. Hope you're well. So Jeff Bezos said, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." So I'd like to have you start thinking about what your brand is right now before we even get into the storytelling portion. But when it comes to your life, just think about it as it's your own book, right? If you were to read your own book, what would you want it to say? Because you're writing the book of your life. So, what is your story? Are you happy with the chapters you've written so far? Are you into, the next version of your book, into the sequel? Are you continuing it? Are you going to write a new book and have a new pen name, become a whole new author? What is your story? There's so many different things out there that make you who you are. And I feel like I have personally lived 1,000 lives already, going from, you know, growing up and just being kind of like an academic and doing well in school and just kind of being a nerd. And I played some sports and, got a bachelor's, got a master's, kind of took the traditional route. I was teaching in universities, I was teaching sociology. I still teach design. I'm a mentor now, but I was a writing teacher at Florida Atlantic University, writing tutor, excuse me. I lived this life in academia. And then at one point I decided I want to get out of this life and have a quote unquote real job, right? What we are socialized to think is like an acceptable position in society where you have this 9 to 5 job and you're working for the man and you have 401k and you have benefits and all these things. And I mean, I that job really served me at that point in life. It was a creative job. I got to live in Germany for that job, also in Spain. It was really incredible. And that was just like the beginning of my story. Got into entertainment after that, doing a lot of cover gigs, traveling for that. I was in a Steely Dan cover band. That was like the first band that I was in, a Steely Dan cover band. I didn't listen to any Steely Dan at all. I was not interested in it. Now I like really enjoy Steely Dan. There's a lot of samples taken from them, which is really cool. Um, and I was the youngest person in this band. I was like in my 20s. Everyone else was in their 50s and their 60s. And, I this was my first experience in a band. I learned how to really, work the stage and be confident on stage. And I'm so, so thankful for it. I then moved into traveling a lot. I had so many different parts of my story that led me here today to be telling you this story and to be just living the life that I'm living now. So I am grateful for every single moment of it. But just start thinking about that. Like, what's your story? Are you happy with where you're at? Do you want to change it? Because humans love stories. So we love stories for many reasons. They teach us lessons, right? Some things we can't learn in school. There's like book smart and street smart, and there's also the things that we just don't learn in school that we learn through stories, like oral tradition and things like that, and things that our families have taught us and our friends. We just learn via experience, like things that they're not going to teach you in school. We also love stories because we can empathize, so we can learn to have compassion for other people. We can relate to people in that way, and they just allow us to connect because we're all just humans anyway. You speak to the CEO the same way you speak to the janitor. It's the same person. You're just human beings. You're just able to connect with people just by being a person because at the end of the day, that's just what you are. So, stories. They are the basis of our communication as human beings, right? So it started from cave paintings. That's how we first started to communicate as human beings, right? At least what we know of right now. So they started in Bulgaria, the Magura Cave, it's called. I'm like looking at an image right now from this presentation that I've done, and it's just cave paintings. They're not as advanced as hieroglyphics, as like hieroglyphics look. Much more rudimentary, much more scratchy. But these are like around 8,000 to 4,000 years old. And then we move into like hieroglyphics in ancient Egypt. Much more advanced, more defined shapes. You can really tell what things are. Looks like much more time is put into them because maybe more advanced tools were used and more advanced knowledge bases and things like that. We then moved into oral traditions. So in your native cultures, right? Native Americans and native tribal cultures, and also in your Eastern cultures, right? We're using myths and songs and chants to communicate knowledge and to communicate stories and understandings of how the world came to be and lessons, what's right, what's wrong, what to follow, what not to follow. And this is all communicated via myths, songs, and chants. We then get into written languages like Latin, right? The basis of the love languages. Not used so much anymore, but a great basis to what we know today. Fast forward many, 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 many years, we get into like tech and media, right? So, how many Instagram stories did you watch today? TikTok stories, all these videos and things like that. Like, video is the most used form of communication media now, and it has been for the past couple years, and like really short form video. So, you have YouTube Shorts, you have all these different things. And that they keep our attention because our attention spans have probably dropped since we've gotten on socials. So there's definitely good and bad things about social media. But we have stories everywhere, right? We use emojis to communicate now. Like, since when? If you don't have an emoji, you might seem dry or stale in a text message. If you don't have an LOL, if you use punctuation like a period, people might think that you're upset with them. It's kind of crazy to think about how much language and communication has changed and advanced by just having this little screen in our hands that like our phones, right? They're so helpful, but also they've just changed so much about what we know as life and communication, but also like where would we be without them? So stories are everywhere. You see them not only on social media apps, but even like the news app, right? I have an iPhone. I get like the news notifications from Apple News. It says stories, like top stories, right? That comes in all the time. Even in the App Store, there's stories, or at one point that there were stories, not even just like downloading apps, but just a story portion. So it just became so normal. They're a staple, right? So I feel like stories kind of catapulted in Snapchat when Snapchat, or just Snap now, I think it's called. I don't you really use Snap, but it started there. And then, Instagram and Facebook took on stories, and then TikTok got really popular. We had Vine for a while. So stories really started to sprout everywhere. Um, and what I guess is the cool thing about stories when it comes to us creating them, we become this main character, right? Main character energy. Um, and we can literally be whoever we want to be, which is really cool, but also comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of you need a lot of awareness, because you then have to deal with like the repercussions of being a character on social media, where you might deal with like negative comments, like hate comments, and like people saying really mean things to you. But you might also get like a really great community of people who want to support you and who are, hyping you up, and they're, people that you don't know, who support you versus your community who maybe doesn't. So there's just so many different sides to stories and to the way that we tell them now. Um, but you are the main character, right? So character, not just you being the main character, but if we're going to define it, it is the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves. It's someone's personality, what someone stands for, holds dear, their values, principles, and calling. And you are your main character. So think about who you want to be in your own story. Are you the protagonist? Are you the antagonist? Who do you want to be? The other thing about stories, not only characters, but experience. So we are the most competent about ourselves. What do we love to talk about? Ourselves, because that's what we know the most about. We're competent about our own experiences. We know ourselves the best, I would think. We probably look over or are not able to see a lot of things about ourselves that maybe we don't want to see. But hopefully, I hope you have good good friends who tell you the things that you need to hear about yourself so you can just grow and improve as a human being. But when it comes to experience, it's also a really big part of storytelling and your personal branding, right? So, like, a big part of my experience in this life that I've lived, and something that has catapulted me mentally, was going through major weight loss back in 2012. So I grew up an obese child. Yes, I played sports and all these things, but I always liked to eat crappy food and all these things. I was bullied for so many years. I was made fun of all the time. So I really honed in on like just being good in school, so like intelligence and my talent, my musical talent. So that's just what I focused on. Um, and at some point in 2012, after trying to get healthy, get fit so many different times, I finally honed in on it, and there was like a pivotal moment for me to do that. So when I was at Florida Atlantic University, I was not a music major. But I took a music class. It was called Commercial Music Ensemble. And at the end of the semester, we had like a showcase. And during this dress rehearsal for the showcase, I had 1 minute in between songs to go and change backstage and then get back on stage. So I could not do that in a minute. Like, I wasn't fit enough. I couldn't catch my breath. I got back on the stage. I couldn't do the song. I had to run off stage. I like got sick after that, like TMI. I had to vomit, like all these things. And I was like, whoa, what is this? So now my health is affecting the thing that I love the most, which is music. And after that, the show went fine, thankfully. The show was on 4/20, 2012. I'll never forget it. I watched the playback because my parents recorded it, of course. I love my parents. And I hated how I looked. So I had really let myself go. I was like 235 pounds. I'm 5'9", but not like a muscular 235 pounds. I'm no body shaming here, nothing like that. But for me, it wasn't working out. I got out of a bad relationship. I was depressed and all these things. And I was like, all right, well, that's it. And the next day, I was very cold turkey. I like cut out a bunch of crap from my diet. I started going to the gym 5 days a week. And 9 months later, I had lost 75 pounds. And maybe like 9.5 to 10 months later, it was like 80 pounds. And that was totally mental fortitude. It was just like mental strength. The physical was only a byproduct. I definitely gained like healthy weight and muscle back since then. I would say I've maintained it, and sometimes it's a struggle. You know, I really love bread. I'm like recording this right now, looking at my phone case, and it's bread all over my phone case. I love bread. Yeah, okay, that's a whole nother struggle. So, you know, everything in moderation. But that was a really big part of my experience and my story, right? And so I used that mental strength to then move into other things so I could start, you know, building myself in other ways. But before we get into the rest of this chat, I'm going to play some great stories that I think you should hear. I was going to start it with something kind of really slow. That's actually a song of mine, but I think I'll come back to that because I want to start it here instead. So we're going to play a couple hip hop songs that are great stories that I'm sure you've heard before, but just pay attention to the storytelling, and we'll be right back.
You kids get to bed, I get the storybook. Y'all tucked in? Here we go. Once upon a time not long ago, when people wore pajamas and lived life slow, where laws were stern and justice stood, and people were behaving like they ought to good, there lived a little boy who was misled by another little boy, and this is what he said. Me and you tonight, we're gonna make some cash, robbing old folks and making the dash. They did the job, money came with ease, but one couldn't stop, it's like he had a disease. He robbed another and another, and a sister and a brother. Tried to rob a man who was a DT undercover. The cop grabbed his arm, he started acting erratic. He said, "Keep still, boy, no need for static." Punched him in his belly and he gave him a slap. But little did he know the little boy was strapped. The kid pulled out a gun, he said, "Why'd you hit me?" The barrel set straight for the cop's kidney. The cop got scared, the kid he starts to figure, I'll do years if I pull this trigger. So he cold dashed and ran around the block. Cop radios into another lady cop. He ran by a tree, there he saw the sister. Shot for the head, he shot back but he missed her. Looked round good and from expectations he decided he'd hit for the subway stations. But she was coming and he made a left. He was running top speed till he was out of breath. Knocked an old man down and swore he killed him. Then he made his move to an abandoned building. Ran up the stairs up to the top floor. Opened up a door there, guess who he saw? Who? Dave, the dope fiend shooting dope. Who don't know the meaning of water nor soap? He said, "I need bullets, hurry up, run." The dope fiend brought back a spanking shotgun. He went outside, but there was cops all over. Then he dipped into a car, a stolen Nova. Raced up the block doing 83. Crashed into a tree near University. Escaped alive, though the car was battered. Rat-a-tat-tatted and all the cops scattered. Ran out of bullets and he still had static. Grabbed the pregnant lady and pulled out the automatic. Pointed at her head, he said the gun was full of lead. He told the cops, "Back off, for honey here's dead." Deep in his heart, he knew he was wrong, so he let the lady go and he starts to run on. Sirens sounded, he seemed astounded, and before long the little boy got surrounded. He dropped his gun, so went the glory, and this is the way I have to end this story. He was only 17, in a madman's dream. The cop shot the kid, I still hear him scream. This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. Just another case about the wrong path. Straight and narrow or your soul gets cast. Good night. Knock him out the box, Rick. Knock him out, Rick.
Ooh, boy. That Uncle Ricky is really
Knock him
weird.
out, Rick.
I know, right? What does he mean, straight and
Knock
narrow?
him out the
Your soul
box,
gets
Rick.
cast.
Knock him out, Rick.
Oh, no. I think you be cracking it up or something.
Knock him out the box, Rick.
Good night.
Knock him out the box, Rick. Knock him out, Rick. Knock him out the box, Rick. Knock him out, Rick. Knock him out, Rick.
Have you ever met a girl that you tried to date, but a year to make love, she wanted you to wait? Let me tell you a story of my situation. I was talking to this girl from the U.S. nation. The way that I met her was on tour at a concert. She had long hair and a short miniskirt. I just got on stage dripping, pouring with sweat. I was walking through the crowd, and guess who I met? I whispered in her ear, come to the picture booth so I can ask you some questions to see if you're 100 proof. I asked her name, she said blah, blah, blah. She had 9, 10 pants and a very big bra. I took a couple of flicks and she was enthused. I said, how do you like the show? She said I was very amused. I started throwing bass, she started throwing back mid-range. But when I sprung the question, she acted kind of strange. Because when I asked, do you have a man? She tried to pretend. She said, no, I don't. I only have a friend. Come on, I'm not even going for it. This is what I'm going to sing. You got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, and you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, but you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, but you say he's just a friend. So I took blah blah's word for it. At this time, I thought just having a friend couldn't be no crime. Cause I have friends, and that's a fact, like Agnes, Agatha, Jermaine, and Jack. Forget about that, let's go into the story about a girl named blah 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 that adore me. So we started talking, getting familiar, spending a lot of time so we can build a relationship or some understanding how it's gonna be in the future. We was planning, everything sounded so dandy and sweet. I had no idea I was in for a treat. After this was established, everything was cool. The tour was over and she went back to school. I called every day to see how she was doing. Every time that I called her, it seemed something was brewing. I called the room, I got picked up, and then I called again. I said, yo, who is that? Oh, he's just a friend. Don't give me that. Don't even give me that. You bust this. You got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, and you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, but you say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need, but you say he's just a friend, but you say he's just a friend. So I came to her college on a surprise visit to see my girl that was so exquisite. It was a school day. I know she was there the first semester of the school year. I went to a gate to ask where was a dorm. This guy made me fill out a visitor's form. He told me where it was, and I was on my way to see my baby doll. I was happy to say. I arrived in front of the dormitory. Yo, could you tell me where is door 3? They showed me where it was for the moment. I didn't know I was in for such an event. So I came to a room and opened the door. Oh, snap! Guess what I saw? A fella tongue kissing my girl in the mouth. I was so in shock, my heart went down south. So please listen to the message that I sent. Don't ever talk to a girl who says she just has a friend. Has a friend. Has a friend. Has a friend. Has a friend.
All right, y'all, we're back on PBnJam. That was what did I play? Children's Story by Slick Rick, and I didn't play that. And Just a Friend by Biz Markie. I'm like, what did I play? Okay. I do want to continue though sharing this knowledge, this talk that I have, and then I'll play some more music. I have so many songs that I want to play, but maybe I'll just save them. I am actually learning how to DJ. Woo woo. So I will be able to have a whole storytelling set at some point. All right. So I was saying, we were talking about storytelling, right? You're writing your own story. I was talking about character. You're the character in your story. Experience, like what's your experience? What has your life been? And all those things, they go into your story and your personal brand. And so as I was kind of like thinking about this information I was putting together, I feel like the three pillars of personal branding are your character and experience, which is your storytelling, and then your reputation. So now we're getting into like the personal branding side of things. So, um, personal branding is the story people tell about you when you're not in the room. All you have in your life is your name and the reputation you garner, right? You also have thoughts, you also have taxes. I'm adding that on, but that the first part of that quote was by Jesse Melton. But reputation is how other people conceive you. It's what people think of you and your personal brand. And you can do a lot to control your reputation. Um, if you're smart about it, you can kind of maneuver things. You can almost manipulate things, which can be good and bad, right? So, like I was talking about social media before and stories. So, a lot of social media are just people's highlights of the good parts of their lives, right? Which is why it can be really what's the word that I'm looking for? Almost deceitful because there is not every day is perfect. Like not everything is butterflies and unicorns all the time. That would make life maybe a little bit boring because we wouldn't know how to appreciate the good parts of it, right? So like yin and yang, like highs and lows in life. They go together. They're part of each other. They go together real bad. Um, but something that you can do to control your reputation is called impression management. So this is a sociological perspective. This is something I learned in grad school. I have a master's in sociology. And this is the effort to control or influence other people's perceptions of you or of anything, really. So you can think of impression management like, okay, you know your friend is really going through something and they're really not having a, a good or easy time in life. Or they are maybe, I don't know, they've fallen on hard times, they have to live out of their car, but they're posting on social media like everything is fine and like they've got all the riches in the world. And they're really trying to fool people, trying to be impressive and get some maybe sense of like external validation when they're really not in that space. So it can be good and it can be bad. So it just depends on how you use impression management for your reputation. So just be honest with yourself, is what I would say to that. But we all know this quote. No one really knows who said it, but you never get a second chance to make a first impression. That's something you should hold true as well. Because most times you don't. You know, sometimes you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. You might get another chance to make another impression and improve upon your first impression. But take that into consideration when it comes to your reputation, because something that you can think about when it comes to your reputation is how would people describe you when you're not in the room? How would people summarize you when they are referring you for a job or an opportunity? How would people remember your elevator pitch or remember your story, like your tidbit? Like I I once when I was in design school and like trying to get in the UX design industry and trying to get jobs and meet people, I was going to all these tech events like all the time. And there was this one woman that I met who was like in management or in some upper role at this company I was interested in working at. And I wanted her to remember my name. And just like imagine all the people that she meets all the time at all these events. And I said something really dumb, and I was like, "Oh yeah, my name is Emily, like Schmemily, like Emily Schmemily." And lo and behold, next time I saw her, she's like, "Oh, Emily Schmemily." I was like, "Yeah, great, that's me." So I made a fool of myself, but like I ended up getting an interview with this woman, like way later down the line. I wasn't the fit for the position, and like no harm done, no hard feelings, but she did remember my name because I did something pretty dumb. I don't know. I feel like I do that kind of ridiculous stuff all the time. But I would challenge you to research your reputation. So you could ask someone, how would you describe me when I'm not in the room? How would you summarize me if you were to refer me for a job or opportunity? How would you remember my elevator pitch or my story, right? You can ask people these things. I actually, when I gave this talk once, I gave this talk at couple places, but I think it was when it was at Iron Hack or at like Restaurant Brands International. Um, one of the people in the audience actually did a reputation survey. So she made a survey on these questions and she posted it on LinkedIn. And I was like, well, your people on LinkedIn might not know you. It's like following on social media, right? Same kind of thing. People just might not know you, who you are. But she just tailored the questions in a way that made sense for people on LinkedIn. So what she did was, let's see. The survey is meant to create a concise summary of my brand and reputation. This is anonymous, so be as honest as possible. And she said, "How would you describe me to others? If you don't necessarily know me, what do you think I'm like? And what are some keywords that come to mind when you think of me?" And then I thought that was a great way to kind of go about this. People can look at your posts. People can look at your resume that you have on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it is, and now you can there's this trend going on where you type in describe me or roast my Instagram profile, and you put it into ChatGPT and it comes up with this funny paragraph of your Instagram profile. But you can research your reputation, and then that's the only way that you can learn if you have a bad rep. And you can just improve it from there. So it's not a bad thing. I think you should do it. I have definitely done it, and I've made a lot of improvements in the way that I might come across and the shortfalls that I have, and I also learn, what I'm good at and what I don't really need to change, and what I can capitalize on. So I want to move into increasing your brand value. So, 82% of investors want the companies they invest in to have a strong brand. Makes sense. So if you think of yourself as a brand, investors would want your brand to be strong if they want to invest in you, right? So you can also think of words. Okay. You can think of an investor as a job that you want to get, or a contract that you want to land, or an opportunity that you want to be picked for. Why should they invest in you, right? They would be paying you for it. Or giving you their time, or sharing something with you in exchange. So, why you? So you should want to have a strong brand, and you can build that. You have the tools. You have social media. There's all these different things you can do, and I'll get into some of those things, like colors, for example. Psychology behind colors is so interesting. But one thing you can do is sell yourself in a good way. So 3 things here. How to sell yourself is being authentic, being trustworthy, and being creative. So 22% from a study that I have here, I have the source. If anyone wants it, please feel free to reach out. 22% of consumers say authenticity is the most important brand attribute. 31% of consumers say trustworthiness is the most important brand attribute. And then 29% of consumers say creativity is the most important brand attribute. So I personally think that authenticity and trustworthiness are best for your personal brand. I think authenticity is most important for you and your own flow and your alignment, so you can then attract abundance. I think creativity is super important if you are in a creative industry, or one that can welcome creativity. For example, you might not have to be that creative or put forth so much creativity if you're in pharmaceuticals, right? But you will have to be really trustworthy and really authentic. People have to understand who you are and trust that. Or maybe in finance or things like that. So I think there's certain industries where you don't need to be as creative and you can still do really well. So just keep that in mind when it comes to how to sell yourself and your brand when you're pitching people, or just pitching yourself, on socials and things like that. So at some point, back in the day, it's been a couple of years now since Instagram had, they turned off the requirement to show likes. Instagram started realizing that authenticity was more important than popularity. Because it used to be that, it was just, you could see everyone who liked it. And then they did actually an A/B test where they turned it off in some markets, where it would just say the people's names, the handles who liked it, and you wouldn't see any numbers anymore. But now you have the choice to have it showing or not showing. And this affected influencers a lot. It affected a lot of people in both good and bad ways. But some reasons why Instagram did that, I have some quotes here, were to focus on the photos and the videos that you share, not how many likes that they get, And it's about creating a less pressurized environment where people feel comfortable expressing themselves. So, authenticity is really powerful and really welcomed when it comes to creating your brand. You can be a content creator now and you don't have to have that many likes. So be relatable, be inspirational, be kind, and be positive. Share your brilliance. We don't need any more negativity in this world. We have enough. So be positive. Be kind. You never know what someone's going through. So, when you're selling yourself, just keep those things in mind and be relatable. You're just talking to another human being. Like, there's things that you can relate on, many things that you can relate on. Start telling them that you like their red sweater. It's as simple as that. And then share everything that is inspirational to you, because I think that's really helpful. I would also say when it comes to creating your personal brand, like something that you can't be afraid to do is fail forward, fail often, fail fast. So that's letting go of fear, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. There's so many famous failures out there. So you have Albert Einstein, right? Like he wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old. And he had teachers saying how he wouldn't amount to much at all. Michael Jordan, after being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and he cried. And we see how much Jordan is a cultural icon, and not only a basketball player, but just an icon, like in every way. Walt Disney filed from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Could you imagine that? And having no original ideas. And now they're literally just a conglomerate, and have so many fans, and it is just crazy. I think more Americans go to Disney than they travel the world, which is like, I've had conversations with friends about this to understand why do Americans have this like obsession with Disney. But I think it's just because we promote Disney, and there's like a lot of commercials and stuff like that, and products like in the media and in stores that are Disney related, and not so many commercials and things like that about like, oh, let's travel to Portugal for the summer. Like, that's not what it is. I don't know. That's my theory. Steve Jobs, at 30 years old, he was removed from the company that he started. And everybody, well, not everybody, but most Americans have an Apple phone. Actually, most people in the world have Androids. But a lot of people in America have the Apple phone, iPhone. Oprah was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. The Beatles, I don't know how many no's they got before they finally got a yes. So there are so many stories of literally just failure, like flat on your face failure, and having resilience and grit and determination and motivation and so much trust and belief in yourself and like faith in yourself that you can do the thing and you keep going. And at some point you will do it. You'll do the thing. Someone will be there to believe in you. So that's really important too. Building relationships. This is something that I feel like I learned later in life. Your network is really, really powerful. Your network is your net worth. It's so true. I have this quote here by Peter Drucker. It's like a famous businessman. More business decisions occur over lunch and dinner than at any other time, yet no MBA courses are given on the subject. And it's true because it's just like PBnJam, right? Like I said, we're in the kitchen. Like, where do people connect the most? Over food in the kitchen. And this is saying the exact same thing. The business decisions occur over lunch and dinner because at that point you have this more of a sense of relaxation where you don't have to be so on, right? You can get a little more creative. I talked about that in the first episode. You're just more relaxed. And you can just connect more on a human level. Like, you're not at a conference room, in a conference room on a Zoom, in a business meeting. You're just having lunch. You're having dinner, enjoying something with someone else, maybe enjoying a drink or something like that. And you can make these business decisions because you start to understand who the person is more just on a human level. Are they authentic? Can I trust them? What are they credible? Things like that. So really important to build relationships. And when it comes to building relationships, you should have mentors, right? You become who you surround yourself with. I have mentors for like everything. If I don't have them right now, I've had them. So for music, for school, academia, I had tutors that I would go to like at the school. Career coach as well. Let's see, financial advisor. spiritual advisor, therapist. Like I've had all sorts of mentors in my life to help me grow into the person that I wanted to be. Also, when it comes to building relationships, rapport is really important because your richest resources are in your richest relationships. So you don't know like who you're going to meet, right? There's this whole idea of like it's 6 or 7 degrees of separation. I always get the number confused, but like you are connected to people by 6 or 7 degrees, and you might go into a room where there's a bunch of little fish, but one of those little fish knows a shark that you need to meet, right? But like your mentor invited you to that event. So your richest resources are in your richest relationships. They might know the person or be connected to the person somehow, the person that you need to meet next to just keep moving in the flow of your life. So build that rapport, right? Connect with people as human beings as we are. And learn, reiterate what others are talking about. So this is really important when it comes to like networking and community. So when you're at like a networking event, reiterate what the person told you. When you connect with them, say, hey, I love talking about your red sweater. Can't wait to see it again. It's little stuff like that. Pull an Emily Schmemily and you should be okay there. Networking and community. So your network is who you know, but your reputation is who knows you. So that's really big. Your network is who you know. Your reputation is who knows you. I've definitely, been in rooms where like, oh, I know that person because I know their reputation. And it's been the same with me. Oh, I know who you are. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, I didn't think that you would have known who I am. So that's really important as well. And then setting yourself apart. So how do you set yourself apart? There are so many people out there, and there's so many people maybe trying to do the same thing that you're doing, and maybe that could feel intimidating. I've definitely been there. But it's important to find a focus. So, you might find a niche that's for you. What do you want to focus on? I'm definitely guilty of spreading myself too thin. And I still feel like I do that sometimes, but it's important to find a focus and be willing to drop the things that maybe aren't as important to you. Like for me, I haven't been doing entertainment gigs like in cover bands as much because I want to focus on other things and like building other things. So I kind of had to drop that a little bit. So find a focus, have a presence. So like when you walk in a room, introduce yourself to people. Hey, my name is Emily. I saw, I don't know, I heard you guys talking about this. Can I interject? Can I come sit in with you guys? Just like ask. Most times people will say yes. And just don't be afraid to introduce yourself. And even if you're an introvert, you can do this. You can like set a goal. You can say, okay, I'm going to meet 3 people today. I'm going to hand out 3 business cards and then I'm going to get the heck out of there. And like, that's how you can do it. You just set a goal. Choose a color, which I'll get into in a little bit. I do want to play at least a couple songs, I guess, to roll out. And then share your brilliance. So you never know what someone else needs to hear. You never know what might inspire someone, but it's really great to share your brilliance and who you are. All right, so colors. Let me get into this really quick. So 80% of people will recognize a brand because of the brand color. And I'm looking at this chart with like all these different logos and what the colors are supposed to represent or like emote from you. So yellow is supposed to be optimism, clarity, and warmth. We have like McDonald's, Subway, UPS, which is brown and yellow, Sprint, Shell, gas station. So like I feel like sometimes the colors and the brands don't exactly align, but it's all psychology. It's supposed to emote something from you. Orange, friendly, cheerful, confidence. Orange is actually my my brand color for like my tech side of my life. So I call it mango because I love mangoes. And yellow is my color for my music side because my artist name is Soleil and it means sun in French. So yellow just kind of makes sense. But the way that I got those colors was I asked my class when I was in design school. I was like, hey, what colors represent me? And I got yellow and orange the most. So that's the 2 that I used. Okay, some orange brands. Fanta is orange. Nickelodeon, Hooters. Excitement, youthful and bold is red. It's like red, reddish pink. I think it's supposed to be red. So what do we have here? Target, Avis, Exxon, Coca-Cola. Purple is creative, imaginative, and wise. We have the Barbie logo, which I don't know that it's purple anymore, but Yahoo, Taco Bell, Welch's. Blue is trust, dependable, and strength. You have Dell, HP, Oreo, Pfizer, American Express. Green is peaceful, growth, and health. Here you have BP, Monster, which I don't know that it really represents peaceful and growth and health. Starbucks. And then gray is like balance, calm. For that one, it was Apple when it was black, when it was gray. Puma, I guess gray is like also in the black category, black and gray and white. Honda, Puma, Nike, and then you have like the multicolor one. So like NBC is multicolor, Google's multicolor, Microsoft multicolor, eBay also multicolor. And I'm looking at this chart here, and it says the most popular single colors included in trademarks. So blue and red or pink. Oh, excuse me. Is the highest with 18% each. Yellow and gold is 15%. Green is 14%. Orange is 10%. And then you have white, black, gray, violet, purple, and brown, which are less than that. There are also trademarked colors, so that's really interesting. There's not that many of them, and they're harder to get, but there are definitely trademarked colors. Be careful, because if you are using T-Mobile Magenta, they will come after you. They went after a small, I think it was like, I don't remember what industry it was, but it was like a small company in Germany that was using a color very similar to the T-Mobile Magenta, and they got a cease and desist, and they had to stop using it. But there's also UPS brown, Barbie pink, Cadbury purple, Tiffany blue, John Deere green, 3M yellow, Louboutin red, Coca-Cola red, wiffle ball bat yellow. That was an interesting one to see. And then that's kind of like my bit about colors. There's also this great YouTube video. I forgot like what it's called, but it's like just color theory in movies, and you can see all of the different the way that colors really emote things in movies. So like imagine if things were a different color, how it might make you feel different. So that's really cool to see too. When it comes to your personal brand, you want to be really consistent. So the same picture that you have on your LinkedIn should be, on your, I don't know, on your business Facebook, on your website, on the photo at the bus stop, on the billboard, it should be the same photo everywhere for consistency. 90% of people expect to have the same branding across all platforms and channels. So just keep that in mind. Okay, and then lastly, we're getting to a close here. Just a couple more things to say. I want to play at least one or two more songs, and we'll close it out. So your personal brand's impact. Basically, if you lead more, you learn more, and then you earn more. So if you build your personal brand through authenticity, through credibility, through creativity, if you need that, your impression management, your storytelling, your character, your experience, all of these things, all of these pillars that I discussed today, your color, just being authentically you're able to lead more because your personal brand then starts to stick out. People know who you are, right? You're doing good for yourself. You're doing good for your business, for others. You're doing good in the community. Make sure you volunteer and give back. A way that I like to do that is I like to speak at conferences. I've spoken at a couple tech conferences, and that's just a way that I can share knowledge and things like that. And it's something that helps the community, but it helps me too. So make sure you are doing those things because then you can lead more. And then once you lead more, you're in those rooms where you can learn more. You are getting more opportunities to learn new things, which just helps you grow. And then as you keep growing and learning, you are able to earn more. So lead more, learn more, earn more. And so I want to take it back to the beginning and ask you again, what's your story? Think about it. The good thing about life is that you can rewrite your story at any time. So knowing that, think about what your story is. And if you want to rewrite it, you can start now. You can start tomorrow. But think about it. All right. I want to play a couple songs before I take y'all out here. Thank you so much for tuning into PBnJam today, Monday, August 19th. It's actually my grandma's 95th birthday. Shout out, Grandma. We celebrated her over the weekend, so that was great. All right. So What do I want to play? I have a couple songs here. I did some hip hop. I think I'm gonna play this. It's it's a mix between hip hop and R&B with one of my favorite artists ever. So let's get it.
If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me.
Somebody told me that this planet was small. We used to live in the same building on the same floor and never met before until I'm overseas on tour and peep this Ethiopian queen from Philly taking classes abroad. She studying film and photo flash focus record. Says she working on a flick and cut my click through the score. She said she loved my show in Paris at Elysee Montmartre and that I stepped off the stage and took a piece of her heart. We knew from the start that things fall apart, intent to shatter. She like, that shit don't matter when I get home. Get at her through letter phone, whatever, let's link, let's get together. Shit, you think not? Think the thought went home and forgot. Time passed, we back in Philly, now she up in my spot. Telling me the things I'm telling of is making her hot. Started building with her constantly round the clock. Now she in my world like hip hop and keep telling me, yeah.
If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me.
Yo, I'm the type that's always catching a flight, and sometimes I got to be out at the height of the night, and that's when she flip and get on some old.
Another lonely night, seem like I'm on the side, you only loving your mic. I know you gotta get that paper, daddy, keep that shit tight. But yo, I need some sort of love in my life. You dig me? While politicking with my sister from New York City, she says she know this ball player, and he think I'm pretty. Side, I'm playing, boo. You know it's just with you I'm staying, boo. And when cats be popping game, I don't hear what they saying, boo. When you out there in the world, I'm still your girl. With all my classes, I don't have the time for life's thrills. So when you sweating on stage, think of me when you rhyme. And don't be listening to your homies, they be
Yeah,
eating
so
you
what you
blind.
saying, I can trust you.
Is you crazy? You my king for real. But sometimes relationships get ill, no doubt.
If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me.
That snake could be that chick in that rat, could be that cool cat. That's whispering, she tryna play you for the fool, black. If something's on your chest, then let it be known. See, I'm not your every 5 minutes all on the phone. And on the topic of trust, it's just a matter of fact that people bite back and fracture what's intact, and they'll forever be. I ain't on some, oh, I'm a celebrity, I deal with the real. So if it's artificial, let it be. I seen people caught in love like whirlwinds, listening to they squads and listening to girlfriends. That's exactly the point where the whole world ends. Lies come in, that's where the drama begins. And she like, yeah.
If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw, what club I went to with my homies, baby, don't worry, you know that you got me. If you were worried about where
tell you about this girl, maybe I should. I met her in Philly, and her name was Brown Sugar. See, we be making love constantly. That's why my eyes are a shade blood burgundy. The way that we kiss is unlike any other way that I be kissing when I'm kissing. What I'm missing, won't you listen? Brown sugar, babe. I guess high off your love, I don't know how to behave. Brown sugar. Sugar, when you're close to me, you love me right down to my knees. And whenever you let me hit it, sweet like honey when it comes to me. Skin is caramel with the cocoa eyes. Even got a big sister by the name of Chocolate Tie. Brown sugar, babe. I guess high off of love, don't know how to behave. How the story goes, brown sugar got me open. Now I want some more. Always down for all my nauseous swine, but I think I'm here to solo. Hope my niggas don't mind. Stick out my tongue and I'm about ready to hit this pretty bitty with persistence. Yo, I don't think y'all hit me. Brown sugar, babe. I guess high off of love, don't know how to behave.
All right. Hello? Hello? Okay. All right, y'all. We are closing out PBnJam. I played You Got Me by The Roots and Erykah Badu, one of my favorites. And also D'Angelo Brown Sugar, another one of my favorite artists. I'm really a soul girl. Great storytelling in those songs. I had so many other songs. I'll just save them for another episode. I'll have to do another storytelling episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is PBnJam. My name is Emily Soleil here on Jolt Radio. Make sure you support Jolt Radio. We are a nonprofit. Thank you all again, and we'll see you next time. September 16th, I think, is when I'm back. Every third Monday of the month. Be safe.
Jolt Radio.